Good morning. How are we?
Oh, other than fighting the seasonal crud, doing all right.
Yeah.
Thinking about chomping into a whole clove of raw garlic right about now.
Yeah. Well, make sure it's super available. You go to the grocery store and they sell these cloves of garlic, and you can just eat them like candy, and it'll help.
Don't eat it like candy. I've done that.
Okay, yeah. Don't eat it directly like candy, but you know what I mean. Eat it all day long, and you'll be happy.
So they don't take the Allison and like bottle that.
Yeah, I have supplements that have Allison, but it's not as good because the chemical that gets produced by the plant is a response, a protective response, so that things don't eat it, right? And so it's super potent when you make injury to that clove of garlic. So that's why you want to create lots of injury, pound the shit out of that stuff.
I did read it said, yeah, you got to sort of break it up. Now, Google says let it sit for 10 minutes. Does that matter?
I mean, I don't think so.
I don't know why.
I've never let it sit 10 minutes. I mean, if you want proper response from it, it's probably going to keep responding and secreting the oils that you need to eat. Yeah. But you just masticate hard. Just be a great masticator.
Can't swallow it whole.
No. You masticate. I want everybody listening out there to practice masticating.
Masticating. So much better than the other word. Well... That took a dark turn.
That was you, though. Yes, I set you up.
Not in my right mind. I'm on cold meds.
By getting close to entendre over and over, right? And but anyway, so you get first strike. What do you want to talk about today?
I want to toot my horn a little bit.
Toot it.
Speaking of general health and wellness, and I'm not going to get too deep into it because then I know
BJ's going to walk in.
BJ's going to be mad. Our algorithms are just going to explode. Yeah. But in 2025, seeing as tomorrow's a brand new year, I'm going to toot my horn a little bit. In 2024, I went morning gluten-free.
Yeah.
I started a workout program with lifting weights. 2025, January 1st, I started with read the Bible in a year. Here we are now, the end of 2025. Celebrated over 1 year of gluten-free, and I have never, not once, cheated on that. Mm-hmm. I have ingested gluten on accident. I ate something I didn't know had it in it. Never once purposely ate something I wasn't supposed to. In over a year, I have celebrated 1 year of consistent weight training, meaning I never missed a week. It was 1 year in October, and tonight will be my last and final entry in the Bible. Read the Bible for a year. I did it all.
Congratulations. That's awesome.
Thank you. I am so proud of this. And anyone who knows me knows I am not an avid reader. I don't love reading. Makes me groggy. And I read the entire effing Bible and never missed out. I'm on December 31st tonight.
You've developed the disciplines of stick-to-itiveness.
Yes.
Congratulations.
Yes. So we're gonna continue into 2026. It's gonna get better. I got a new book I'm starting. I'm gonna up my weights, and I'm gonna make my weight training. We got consistency down. Now we're gonna start lifting heavier and really pushing. Mm-hmm. I'm excited.
I had an Eeyore moment yesterday.
Oh no!
Somebody asked me, like, going into the new year, what are your big goals and dreams and whatever? And I was like, I don't know. I didn't have a good answer. And that was kind of depressing a little bit. Aww. I was looking at January 1st equal to December 31st or whatever. And I don't know. I think I'm going to pull myself out of that slump.
Yeah. Look at it as I'm going to make it yet another year that I am freaking awesome. It is one more year of consistently awesome.
Dude,
you're on a roll.
Where did you get this optimism from? Like, this is a little too much.
Jesus
gave you optimism.
I was just born with it.
You're being a little extra now.
Maybe she's born with it.
All right. So a couple of, besides the health and wellness that makes BJ crazy in the back.
Yeah.
Let's talk about some things to get your opinion on it. So we talked about the Minnesota daycare fraud, healthcare fraud, those kind
all
of
over
things,
fraud.
Right? Yeah, all over fraud. And I was like, okay, this is going to be universally, just admonished by everyone. Everyone's going to be like, okay, fine. You set up these systems, do these block grants, and obviously there's going to be fraud, and nobody wants fraud, right?
Yeah.
We have liberal Democrats, crowd fundraising and, and raising money for these effing fraudsters. So in 1 year, no matter what it was, the liberal Democrats found out a way to support wife beaters and fentanyl dealers and daycare fraudsters. Is there a topic that could unite us so everybody would say, all right, we went too far?
We said, hey, maybe you should be very careful taking this medication, and they overdosed on it. It is literally their MO to push back no matter what. No matter what. You could say, hey, by the way, if we just do this one thing, this one act, we'll have world peace. I'm doing the exact
100%.
opposite.
100%.
I don't believe you.
And so I hate to, give Carter credit for this because I do hate the TDS deal altogether, but it's literally what it is. It is a literal psychosis where everything is put through the filter of I can't let anybody have a victory. And if you like it, then I'm not. If you say up, I'm going to say down. And it is the reaction from these people. But I don't know how their brains can say, all right, so we had, just laying out the landscape, we had a state where they had the Democrats needed voters. They imported Somalis. They gave them, all the benefits of citizens, gave them extra grants that they could take advantage of so we can get elected and have representation for this thing. Okay. Yep. Now we would have warned that that's probably not a great thing to do, but when there's fallout from it, it's not even, I told you so. I don't care if they're Somalis. I don't care if they're, white dudes. I don't care if they're black dudes. I don't care if they're Zionists. I don't care about who they are. It is fraud. Like, by definition, people figured out a system and fraudulently build that system.
Yeah. And again, like I said, it's their MO to manipulate. If they are caught red-handed and they have no excuse, there is no reason for this. There's nothing you can say that will make sense. Wrong is wrong. You were caught red-handed. The only tactic they have, and they've been using it for years because it's always been the only tactic, is emotional appeal, make you hate the other side more. Hate the other side more than you hate what we're doing. And that's all we got to do is make you live in that space. You probably don't agree with it. You're probably like, oh my gosh, I can't believe this is millions of dollars being wasted. And did they know about it? And this is so wrong. But you know what? Trump was convicted of 34 felonies, and that's just worse. Yeah, how many times I've seen that? Ridiculous.
Yeah, to the point where you just kind of roll your eyes at that point. So anyway, moving on from that, I-70 in Columbus is the state legislature is floating the idea of renaming it Trump's Freedom Highway.
I've not heard about this.
Yes, I-70 in Columbus.
Really?
Donald J. Trump Freedom Highway. What are your thoughts on that?
Why that highway?
Well, I don't know. It's the main artery that comes in and out of Columbus.
Do a lot of people in Columbus really like Trump?
No. Columbus is not a hotbed of Republican support by any means.
So
what the legislature is.
I was going to say, so then who's pitching this idea?
The legislature, it's Republican controlled, huge majority in the state house. Thoughts?
Is this something being voted on by the people, or this is just...
It's just they designate it, they throw it on signs, and now we got the Trump Highway.
I mean, well, then here's what's going to happen. They're going to spend a buttload of money naming this highway and changing all the signage. And the moment a Democrat comes into power, they're going to spend a buttload of money and change all the signs and change the name of the highway. And here's how we spend our money.
Okay.
Yeah. I saw it with military base down south. Fort Benning became Fort Moore, went back to Fort Benning, different Fort Benning. You have any idea how much money that costs to change the name of a military base? Because it's not just the name, it's all paperwork, all letterhead, road signs throughout the entire town. Everything gets changed. And they did it twice in like a year or two. That's what this is going to be.
Okay. But, okay, so here, this is sort of like it got stupid and it's getting stupider. And this has a conclusion of being the stupidest to an absurd level, right?
Yeah.
So, we, through the cultural sensitivities, and when we got in that whole, let's change the name of things and things that disturb us. I'm libertarian. I don't like government spending $1 than it needs to, whatever gets the job done. But usually, you honor someone with a name. So somebody comes in, like Jimmy Carter did a bunch of stuff, and maybe he had an impact on an area. So you honor him by naming a road after him, a park after him, just to say, this is our thanks for what you've done to this area, to this state, or whatever. And once it's named, you kind of like, it doesn't need a new name. It's not like Jimmy Carter's ever going to offend me to the point where it doesn't need, it's a road and it needs a name, and now it has one.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But the Democrats, the liberals, the far left, made a huge push to rename things that they didn't like. So this is just a continuation of that absurdity. Maybe they had better justification, but if Trump's like, oh, we're in a mode of just renaming things, I want to name some stuff. I want to put my mug on the side of buildings, and now, like, it's up to us to say, hold on, let's just stop silly stuff. We got real problems, right?
Yeah.
Things that we should be working on. Take some energy. Let some headlines reflect us working on things that affect people. Are you ever ill-affected that something might have the wrong name? Or do you look at it and say, this is Main Street, and I'm cool with it being Main Street?
Yeah. It's like at one point it was named this for a reason.
Right.
It's part of its history. I don't care. I just don't.
So if the adults in the room, recognize that it's gotten to an absurd level, maybe they're like, all right, this was stupid. Yeah, we did it. And yeah, now you did it. And we hate it because it's a waste of time and money. Let's stop doing that. Right.
Yeah.
If there's a new road that comes out, give it a name. Great. Make a list of names of people that you want to honor and make it wait for the next road naming and then give it that name. But everything as it is, keep it the same until we'll get to that after we've solved all the world's problems.
Yeah.
Okay.
Why is Iceland and Greenland named is it like Iceland green and Greenland has a bunch of ice?
But my thoughts, I think this is a conspiracy theory, but I like this one.
Yeah.
I think at one point when it sort of like environment shifted and Greenland was once green and Iceland was once ice. And now being that after the mini ice age and things have changed enough where now they look different than they were originally named.
Well, listen, things changed. Why aren't we renaming Gulf of Mexico's Gulf of America, military bases, syrup bottles? Why stop
You know what
there?
I'm going to do? The Paul Harvey, if I were the devil, I'm going to do a version of that. And it's going to be about what happens if we're too stupid? What if we get too many people that are stupid in charge? And I'm going to do a whole litany of what the world would be like if stupid people were calling the shots. I
would distract them by renaming everything.
Yes. Putting
Keep
the
them
picture,
busy renaming.
putting a polarizing picture for all the world to see.
Yes.
Right? That's all we do is we want to like rage bait you and like, oh, you don't like the gay and lesbian movement. I'm going to paint all the streets there. So you have to drive by it. I'm going to wait until you skid up some tire marks on that. And then we're just going to have this, pitting that group against one another, getting everybody fired up and raged up about something. And again, until we get to the point where we just divide and split irrevocably. Yeah, that's the word. Either renaming things or just piss away tons of money, removing statues in history because they didn't like them. Again, the beginning of the absurdity. Jerry says they never let the people name highways or buildings or military bases. I think it has become a circus of people that just want to distract the effect of negativity or jockeying for midterms. So I think the military did this one time where they didn't make it part of they opened it so the public can vote on a name, right? Mm-hmm. And so naming a ship or naming a street, let the public be able to nominate certain names. You know what won?
What?
Bodie McBoatface was the name of the boat. I'm going to look this up, making sure that it wasn't just a meme. And it was
Regina Phalange Banana Hammock.
Bodie.
That's from Friends.
Mick.
Oh my God, it came right up.
Bodie McBoatface is the popular internet chosen name for a British polar research ship that went viral in 2016 through the official name RRS Sir David Attenborough. See, Bodie McBoatface is way better than the RRS Sir David Attenborough. The popular name was ultimately given to one of the ship's autonomous underwater vehicles, which conducts scientific research. Bodie McBoatface.
This is why we can't have nice things.
Yes. Let elementary school kids name things, and the world would become funnier. Like every time you see Bodie McBoatface.
So you think we should go absurd
yes,
in that direction?
We might as well. I would rather it be Bodie McBoatface than Freedom Highway, right?
Especially when you're like, well, how did it come up with that name? Well, this group of school children thought it was cute.
Exactly.
Isn't that endearing?
So, and have you ever witnessed an absurd naming of something like Bodie McBoatface and seen someone frown at it? No, it makes everybody happy. It's like, oh, that's cuteness. I think all boats should have special names like that has a lot of alliteration. And
I got really sad when my kids got older and stopped mispronouncing words like library.
Yeah.
It's a library. I don't want them to say library.
Exactly.
It was adorable.
Exactly. I think we should embrace that. I really do.
Julie
says fraud is a crime and all fraudsters should be treated equally. However, I knew there was going to be a however.
However, in all caps.
The hypocrisy, when it's Somalis, we don't want to talk about the fraudsters that became a senator, a football hero that got away with an $8 million fraud, not to mention the many fraudsters that have been pardoned. And I would look at it this from an enabling standpoint. Like we all agree that fraud should be fraud. And this is the selectiveness of who do you go after first, right? In business, we take the biggest honeypot. The things that promote fraud, right? Not the individual. The Bob Smith is a one person, but if Bob Smith enabled thousands of people to commit fraud, then that would be a justification for energy spent to clean up a large group of people that are here on with fraudulent motives. You can take a whole group of people that are all doing the same thing. One building with 20 home healthcare things that are all fraud. You wipe out one building, you get 20 of them. So yes, I'm with Julie. I think all fraud should be mopped up. Go from state to state, and any culture that expects adopts that, hit in big numbers and get a lot of fraud cleaned up. And then you can go after the individuals. It's almost like the strategy for drug use and drug dealers, right? Do you want the drug user and the small pusher on the corner, or do you want the mass distributor, right? I want the mass distributor because you clean up a lot of those all other problems if you get the big girth of the issue. Yeah,
that's kind of why you see a lot of like undercover law enforcement. They will overlook a lot of little things because they're building a case to take down something much larger.
So I know liberals want to frame this as some kind of racial motivation, right? That, we hate dark people, that Somalis come from shithole countries, and it feels like it wants to take on sort of a racist vibe to it. And that's sort of like the Krasenstam brothers always crafting a narrative that no matter what it is, it's going to be put through the framework of it's either racially motivated or if it's Trump motivated or whatever, trying to almost excuse the behavior. So it's not like, okay, so if you don't go after the salamis, if you don't go after the skamalis,
new racial slur,
then what's the next group that you go after? The Italians, are they fair game, or is it unfair that we start with them? Yeah. So if you take who you start with and are too discriminate on who's untouchable and who should be given an easier pass because of those racial implications, then we don't have law enforcement. We might as well not even have laws.
Yeah. Brian says illegal immigration is illegal as well, but don't say that to an anti-ICE people. Their head may explode.
Yeah, if you categorize and say where the biggest illegal immigration is happening, and you pick a group, it's either they represent the biggest part of the problem or you're racist. And I know my liberal friends are always going to take you're only doing this because you hate brown people.
Yeah.
Instead of saying, oh, okay, they represent the highest risk liability group.
That's kind of like today's version of you're a big dummy doo-doo head.
It's where, again,
like you You just have nothing else to say.
Again,
so
if I put
you're
really
racist.
dumb people in charge, this is how public discourse would go down. That was my Paul Harvey voice, by the way. I gotta lower a couple octaves to get there. I'll practice.
Yes, you do. I can, with my cold, I can speak real low.
Tracy says in Youngstown South Side in recent years, streets are renamed after living and deceased loved ones of the chosen few. So we honor the leadership of, and I don't know what game has to be played in order to be honored with a street sign. It used to be that a bridge was named after someone who gave their life to fight for the freedoms of this country. And then we have like Dr. whatever. And like, what did he do? What sacrifice did Dr. do?
Paid a lot of money.
Yeah. How was he supportive? And I guess I've not been nominated for any street sign to bear my name. So I must be doing the wrong things to get on that list.
We totally should.
Mm-hmm.
The Joe Danyi way.
Joe Danyi. Oh, dude.
That works on two levels.
So many ways.
The Joe Danyi way.
So if anybody has a street, and it could be comical, if you want to have a dead end street, do it. I would be hilarious.
The Danyi way. How do we make this happen in Youngstown?
Ends up in a potholed, condemned neighborhood.
I'm taking the Danyi way.
In just rough gravel. That would be Joe Danyi way. Let's see. The DNC has always used the race card to stop debate. But here's the thing. But that is the currency. And we say that politicians are in it for two reasons. The accumulation of power and the accumulation of wealth. Those are the only two objectives to get into any political power. Now, if you come into an arena and you're not in a power position, you only have so many currencies to draw from that buys you into that power position. So if I were a black dude, right, and I had race as the go-to currency of my effort, why would I not use it? Why would I take the one currency that works almost every time? Well, in the aggregate, you're like, if we overuse this currency, it becomes meaningless, and then it doesn't work. And do we really need to? So you got to weigh it and say, am I a good person? And I'm going to not use race as my currency to accumulate power because I don't want to, water it down and dilute the word, and then it's meaningless. Or, travel on my efforts, or do it because it's fast and easy, and we'll cross that bridge down the road when we get there. Women do it. Ethnic groups do it. Everything in the liberal sphere is just leveraging what's at your disposal to accumulate wealth and power. And once you know sort of like the strategy behind it, when somebody comes out and like they'll communicate with you what they're leveraging, and you get to know what their, what their abilities are with what they choose as their currency. Like if you say, what is Bernie Sanders leveraging? Like why for his entire lifetime, he's used a one playbook plan, right? It's effective and he uses it and he will always frame things through it. So what do you think he's leveraging? What's the currency of Bernie Sanders? He became popular by.
Yeah. He's the good guy going after the greedy billionaires.
There you go. Right.
I'm going to take down all of the greedy billionaires. I'm going to give that money to the hardworking people of this country who deserve more than they're getting.
That was really good.
On point.
That was really good.
I couldn't do that again if I tried. I just channeled Bernie Sanders.
Yes, you did. And so he was reading a story one time, and he was like, all right, this dude goes around the woods and he waits for these, these wealthy people to come through the woods, and he robs them. And then he runs over to his group and he gives it to them. Right.
Yeah.
He was like, I like this book.
The
it's like
Robin Hood.
Book. I bet you I can do that in real life. I bet you I could get elected and go shake people down. Nobody will feel bad for them. They're freaking wealthy.
Yeah.
And there's more poor people out there, and they'll absolutely love me.
Yeah.
And I will just hook my wagon to this horse forever.
Even though in order to maintain this, I do got to take some of that money from them. And I am going to go ahead and accept some of that so that I can continue to be the Robin Hood.
But he's in a weird position because he is, in this part of his career, one of the persons that a younger Bernie Sanders would shake down and give his away.
Yeah.
So he has to pick targets that are bigger than him.
Yep.
I got my mansions and my vacation house. I can't do this. I got my mansions and my vacation
that was
houses.
great, Kelin.
But I did it legitimately.
Yeah.
Right?
It was the people. It wasn't the actual billionaires. It was the workers. Carter says, great imitation, Kelin. Maybe Joe can do his Russian one.
No, I can only do it sometimes.
No.
ICE is nothing new. When I worked for a company in the 80s, Los Angeles, we were frequently a target of ICE. But here's the ebb and flow. And you'd think that people that are good at politics would see these longer term trends and things that happen, right? So let's just say you have every policy, every thing that ails us. We're at a point where there's no pure decision to be made. There's no yes and no. There's nothing that's going to make everybody happy. But there are forms that make things a little better and other things worse. So there's always this cost that goes, this cost play that goes on. And so, like, for instance, if you had an area that was overly policed, let's just say we dispatched 1,000 police officers in downtown to clean up crime. They write parking tickets. They're arresting people like crazy. You can't walk down the street without seeing a cop on every corner. What's the cost of that?
The cost of that?
Yeah.
Well, you're probably going to have to abide by certain rules to have that happen. You might feel a little, not put out, but watched maybe.
Okay. So your freedom, you'd feel restricted. You know that you're watching your P's and Q's, right?
Yeah.
You're watching out. Don't park in the wrong spot because I know I'm going to get a ticket. Don't speed because I know I'm going to get a ticket. Don't misbehave because I'm going to go to jail.
Yeah.
Like now you're
watching me.
Yeah. And then there are areas like Poland who overly police their ticketing. People avoid their area and not everybody goes down. And other people are like, hey, well, I'm going to go there specifically because people drive slow and there are
it was known. You don't speed through Poland. Don't do it. Don't even risk it.
Right.
It's not a bad thing.
And Poland balances it where it's on the high side of policing, but it never gets too far. But when you have 1,000 cops, right, you run out of things to do. And then maybe you start harassing people. Maybe you misbehave and don't follow the rules. Maybe you beat on somebody and add brutality to your menu. It can go too far in the other direction. Okay.
Yeah.
So your cost of over policing is you get what you want, which is lower crime, but you also leave and create a situation where worse things can happen and your news articles change. Instead of someone getting mugged, then you have someone arrested that shouldn't have been, or protocol wasn't followed, or their rights were infringed on.
Yeah.
Now the other side, let's just say, like, let's do no policing. Let's just defund the police. Now you don't have the oppression. And now what do you have? You have
anarchy.
Crime. You can't go to the city now because you're going to get, your carjacked. Or you're going to get robbed, or you're going to see homeless people in the streets defecating and doing drug use, right?
Yeah.
But it's in the middle of these two things where you need just enough of one to balance out the other. And then, yes, you're going to have, you limit it so that you have mitigated downside and magnified upside on both sides. But it's almost like the people who say, do you think a person who believes in defunding the police, right? Let's just say they got their way and we cut back police. Do you think they could ever be let's add more police? It becomes a religion. So they can never say, okay, we defunded it. We got a level, but we went too far in the other direction. So let's add more police protection.
Yeah. They're going to want to, but
they can't because they're bought in.
They're in that all or nothing mindset.
That's exactly
I got to
right.
stay this far over. Yeah.
Right. So you'll see an overreaction. You'll see ICE agents there's more than 30 million illegals here. So the ICE agents will not run out of people to deport for sure. And so I don't see an over policing of ICE agents. There's still a big enough problem that they're still hitting, low hanging fruit. But it's healthy that the people who are critical of enforcing immigration law to keep it honest, to make sure it doesn't go too far. You're gonna get people caught in the net. You're gonna have somebody who's been here for 20 years, never broke a law, get rounded up because they were with other people or whatever. And those headlines are going to keep it honest to make sure that before you blow up a Venezuelan boat, you better be damn sure there were drugs on it. Because until that headline comes over where these people were, just bringing goods over to the Caribbean, now you lose public support when the bad thing happens, and there are people thirsty for a bad thing happening so they could say, I told you so.
Yeah. You know how many times I heard people say, oh, so-and-so's nanny was taken right off the playground. So-and-so's neighbor that they were friendly with for years was taken right out of their home. But the woman that was brutally murdered in the park, I heard nothing about until it was from Carolyn Leavitt in the Trump administration, and the other people that got brutally murdered or robbed or assaulted. Where are those headlines?
Mm-hmm.
This big, and all the others that were just an innocent person that's going about their day. You hear about that all day long, and it's like, tell me there's no bias.
Mm-hmm.
Brian says Bernie Sanders reminds me of Jerry Stiller and the airing of grievances at the beginning of Festivus. Yeah, we just had Festivus, last week? A couple days ago?
What is that?
What is Festivus?
What is it?
Are you serious?
Yeah. I've heard it. I know it's memeified, but what is it?
Did you ever watch Seinfeld?
Yeah, every once in a while.
So Festivus is an episode of Seinfeld where George Costanza's dad talks about, it's basically a made-up holiday. And
you mean just like all the other ones? I think so.
We'll circle back to that in a minute. It's George Costanza's dad's made-up holiday, and it's a Festivus for the rest of us. And they have traditions like feats of strength, where everybody just shows their strength by doing, I don't know, random things that are difficult to do. They have the airing of grievances, and George's dad says, I have a lot of problems with all you people, and now you're all going to hear about it. And you tell everybody what you have a problem with and what's been bugging you all year. What else do you do on Festivus? Feats of strength, airing of grievances. I think there's a pole. Is there a Festivus pole instead of a tree? It's like a pole, I think, a metal pole. I know, it's a hilarious episode. You should watch it.
So 100 years from now, the dummies down our lineage, down our bloodlines are not going to know that it was like just something that we did tongue in cheek.
There's a TV
and they're
show.
going to celebrate it. And it's going to get added to the calendar. It will be a federal holiday where people take off work for and celebrate Festivus.
Oh my God, we should
put it in the envelope. I guarantee it.
Listen, I got to say this morning, I know you hate people taking off days around a holiday, but I love not having so many cars on the road. I was like, I'm glad all you people are off today. It makes it nice driving.
Yeah. You're trying to get me fired up on the slackers who don't go to work and are looking for opportunities to be less than functional and not contribute to the overall net growth of our economy, and our marketplace gets starved out of transactions.
What about contributing to the core family unit and family life and all of the important stuff that you've talked about other times in the year of how important that family unit is and maintaining a healthy family unit and a healthy marriage and reproducing?
If I felt like that was what was actually happening, then I'd be all for it.
Like if you're like, hey, we're taking off Christmas Eve, day after Christmas, New Year's Eve, all these days so that we can all
invest in my family.
Go to church, invest in the family, and reproduce.
Yeah.
I feel like some people are doing that.
Are we structuring holidays and complete societal function over a handful of people who are doing it right? Or is it just a net loss for people to get into self-destructive modes, eat a bunch of foods that they probably shouldn't eat, get sick and hurt their immune system, get mad at all of their relatives, fight between kids, go into financial debt? Like, should we all?
Why do you think everybody's just getting mad at their relatives and going
because we're all
into debt
polarized. You can't get a group of 10 people together if you don't choreograph it right and not get warring in the room. All right. So I do statistics. Big university on the hill. You know, your programs that study, people and civilizations. See what actually is happening on these days. Bet you won't. Bet you don't want those results.
So if you have an organization, a workplace,
yes,
and all the employees show what they did with that time off. Hey, here's actually where I went to church. Here's where our whole family went and did this or did that. You'd be like, all right, excused.
Oh, no, absolutely. I give more.
But if it was like, I drank myself into a stupor and
that was bad.
Went into a sugar coma and
made myself unhealthier.
Fought with Uncle Tim about politics dumber.
And wasted a whole lot of time. Yeah. Not a recharge.
All right. I'm going to start documenting.
Okay. What else? What else is going on? Have you ever heard of David, by the way? The rap guy, David?
David the rapper? Oh, wait. What does this say? If you made it where people had to spend time with the families on days off, holidays, people would be more likely to stay at work.
It's 100% right. Okay, so here's the combination.
Listen, this is why I take days off. Like, honest to God, Christmas, 4th of July, 2 times of the year, all of us, all the cousins, aunts, uncles, my niece and nephew, all the extended family that is not my core 4, They all have that off, and we hang and have a blast.
Yeah. So, okay, here's the deal. So you're excluded from this. We're just talking generally. I would say 90% of the population are not you. They're a different thing.
They're not as cool.
So if you took a day off of school and you were sick, you had a doctor's excuse, and then you justified not being there by a reason to not be there.
Mm-hmm.
So if Easter comes along, right? Celebrate a holiday of Easter that has religious roots. You want to take Easter off. Otherwise, I mean, it's a Sunday, but still,
yeah.
If you want to take that off, you have to then justify that you were celebrating the religious nature of the purpose why you took the day off, right?
Yeah.
So that's number one. Is it's totally horseshit. The people that are actually celebrating, I mean, everybody that hates or the secularists and atheists out there, right? They're not exactly saying, I don't want this religious paycheck. I don't want this religious celebration. I'm going to work, damn it. I'm going to show them.
Oh, I had something. What was it?
Back to David. I was asking about the rapper
I don't
David.
remember what I was going to say. Rapper David. I don't know who that is.
It's spelled D4VD. David, right? Young kid, probably in his 20s.
What song does he sing?
Dude, I don't know any of them. I just know this story.
Stop being a Grinch. It's Scrooge. He's Ebenezer Scrooge, I think, is more accurate. But
yes.
Only what?
Only 4 things of coal for you. Yes.
David, D4
VD. So anyway, he's going to be arraigned and probably charged with murder. Okay. And the story began that I started paying attention to it was he had a Tesla that was impounded. His Tesla was impounded. And while it was impounded in the garage, somebody started smelling some stuff. And they popped the trunk and there was a badly decomposed 14-year-old girl. Right?
This is starting to sound familiar. Maybe I did see that.
And so and my son told me this story because he's somebody that was very popular. And once they found out that he was a murderous, psychopath, that a lot of kids turned on him and said, yeah, I'm not listening to whatever.
Sounds a little
So
familiar.
he rented a house. Inside the house, he had a burn cage and a chainsaw, right? And so the grisly nature of what might have gone down if it would he takes the body after he kills this girl, takes the body bag or back to his place, cuts her up, puts her in a burn cage and makes her disappear forever. But he wrote in his songs named this girl. And I think even referenced that you're dead and you're in my trunk. Right. And so all of this is, and his attorneys are taking that they were expressive, metaphorical. He took some liberties in his songwriting, but it just so happened coincidentally that this girl ended up in his trunk and she was dead. So this dude.
So they're saying I happened to make a song and then I became murderous and acted it out. Not they were happening at the same time.
He wrote the song before she ended up in the trunk. Right. So in my mind, this dude was thinking what he was going to do.
This was premeditated.
Right. He didn't do it and then sang about it. He sang about it and then did it. So anyway, allegedly, because the dude hasn't gone to prison, he hasn't been, what's that called?
Indicted or
indicted. Well, I think he was indicted. I don't think sentenced. Yeah. He didn't go before
convicted.
Convicted. There we
convicted.
Go. Convicted.
So is everybody now going back and listening to all his other songs? Like, oh my God, what else did he say?
Well, in fact, let me bring up.
Yeah, let's look this up. Man, maybe the Beatles were onto something then with what they sang about.
Is D4VD a murderer?
Oh, I see. That does kind of look like an A. The number 4.
Let's see what Grok has to say. No, David is not a murderer. He has not been convicted of murder or any crime as of December 31st. He is currently the primary suspect in an ongoing homicide investigation involved in the death of 14 or 15-year-old Celeste. And the name of the song was Celeste. So it's not like it was a metaphorical girl
saying
about. Yeah. Celeste Rivera's Hernandez, her dismembered body and decomposing remains were discovered in September of 2025 in the trunk of a Tesla registered to him, including blah, blah, blah. Prosecutors believe an indictment for murder charges likely in the oncoming months. Witnesses include his manager have testified. Authorities reportedly view him as involved.
So, I mean, I feel like obviously the defense could also morph into he was framed. He sang this song, so somebody went and followed his lyrics and put it in his car and framed him for it.
Okay, I could see that. Yeah, the song discussed is called "Romantic Homicide." So if I'm just like assembling a lot of contextual arguments for whether or not he was a bad dude, I'm gonna say he was.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna play Clue, and I'm gonna be like, David in the rental house with the chainsaw and the burn box and the song that depicted the murder of Celeste and the decomposing 14-year-old in his trunk. That was Celeste, and they had matching tattoos. They were romantically involved, and the song is called "Romantic Homicide." I'm just kind of putting some square pegs together right now.
I don't know. I'm not convinced.
You're not.
I'm not
you're
convinced.
You're on the fence still.
Yeah. I feel like this is where Judge Judy would go, if it walks like a duck and quacks like a duck, it's a duck.
But you're taking the road that David might just be an innocent dude.
No, I'm going to go ahead and say David's guilty as crap.
You think so?
But I'm like, okay, what's the defense going to do? What are we going to do when there's clear evidence something happened? How can we make this emotional? Either he was set up, or how is he a victim? How is he a victim of the industry, Joe?
Mm-hmm.
And how he grew up in society. And this is expected. I mean,
you know what? You're right. That's what's going to happen. And I blame the feminization of society for this. It all comes back to feminization. I think it's all the ills. Like,
would that's to blame?
Wouldn't you like a prosecutor to just be able to say bullshit, right? When you get your little empathetic thing and they actually entertain those things, they're like, sir, in your rental house, you had a chainsaw and a burn box. Well, tell me first what you were intending to do with the chainsaw. And it's a rental. Somebody else takes care of the landscape. You don't really have a fireplace. So what were you going to do with that chainsaw? I collect chainsaws. And the prosecutor says, bullshit. Were you going to cut somebody up? I know you were going to cut somebody up. You were going to cut somebody up. And then moving on from the chainsaw, I'm convinced as the prosecutor that you were going to chop somebody up. What about the burn box, right? So you got a burn cage, not burn box, burn cage. What are we going to do with the burn cage? I collect burn cages. The prosecutor's going to say, bullshit. You're lying again. We have all this supporting evidence. We don't have like the murder weapon. The chainsaw wasn't the thing that you used. You killed somebody. How did you kill her? And using more masculine logic of bullying and really aggressive prosecution, right? I think we would handle these things where the public would be like, oh, we tried really hard to get a conviction, rather than the, oh, but your nanny touched you when you were young kind of stuff that doesn't
listen,
why you have an effing chainsaw there.
But that's feminizing the defense. I think if there was more feminizing beforehand, maybe there would have been no murder because it would have been a more empathetic, caring person.
You think empathy leads to justice? Connect the rest of that one.
Empathy leads to not being a murderous psychopath.
So you think human
not
nature,
in every case.
Human nature, right, would completely be fixed by sympathy and empathy?
I think human nature is to not have a lot of sympathy and empathy. If somebody were more feminized, and by
human
your
nature
definition,
is what you're biologically wired to do. We are primitive survivors, right? And we have to quell a lot of our primitive instincts. And we use that by leveraging a society that keeps all of those things in check and using them for positive deals, right? Mm-hmm. If you cut the nuts off of a bull, right, then you feminize the bull and it becomes a completely different creature.
Don't you say feminizing something makes it more emotional, more soft,
more unable? In a society where aggressiveness solves problems, right?
But also if you take away aggressiveness and make someone more soft,
and it's
emotional,
a theory,
feminine,
it just doesn't work, right?
It doesn't work once it's too late. It's not a defense.
All right, so
it should be in the
use
beginning.
Something like gentle parenting. Right?
Oh God.
That is the feminization of taking wild animals and appealing to the soft nature of trying to be empathetic and understanding them and giving them their space to do. And when it's tried in the real world, you didn't quell anything, right? You made an animal that now has primitive instincts and no powers to be able to control those primitive instincts. Great in theory. In practice, you don't take the human nature out of a human. You don't get to change that biology. Maybe thousands of years of evolution and we'll all be hermaphrodites that have no testosterone whatsoever and we'll just lay around and eat grapes all day. But that's not right now. That's not going to cause a fix of those problems. That's going to make them worse.
So why do you think one individual was led to be a murderous psychopath and 10, 20, 50 other men were not?
Because we still have some baked in, controls from previous generations, and we benefit from those rules. But as we erode those, humans are going to go do human things. And if you remove you can either do it this way: societal controls or legal controls, right? So you're either going to really be soft on people and hope that the legal paths take the psychos off the streets, or you're going to have cultural controls where I'm not going to murder you because I'm afraid of going to hell and I don't want to go to hell. And even though my instincts really, really wants to murder you or really wants to steal or really wants to cause havoc, I'm not going to do those things because there's a supreme power that's governing my thoughts right now and stopping me from doing those things.
Or prison.
But that's the other side of it where it leads to tyranny because now you have too many unwieldy people and there isn't enough laws and enough law enforcement to be able to take bad people and keep them corralled enough to not still be able to do devastation. You got to make better people.
I mean, quite the contrary. We made him famous.
We did.
We gave him a record deal.
Mm-hmm.
You don't think there was a room of people, of an agent, a producer, what have you, that heard that song before the public did and said, you got a hit, let's release this. Not, hey man, any chance you're having homicidal thoughts or tendencies?
Have you ever had homicidal thoughts?
Me?
Yeah.
Not seriously.
Oh, no. I didn't say serious or unserious. Have you ever had homicidal, if you were a broken person, you would have killed someone?
Maybe.
I think everybody listening to this has.
There have been times I verbally threatened, not actually meaning it, but was in a state of mind.
There are circuitry in you that stopped you from actually realizing that thought went in your head, right?
Yeah.
What if you were never programmed with the things that said, why killing someone is it? What if all the reasons you didn't kill someone when you thought about killing someone, what if you didn't have any of those? You would be a killer. Put in the right circumstance, even a person like, hey, I don't steal anything, right? You'd think under most circumstances, I would be able to quell my primitive instinct to take something from you. But if I'm in the grocery store and I haven't eaten in 20 days, right? And that food sitting right there, I would be able to take my principles and I'd be able to say, this is for good reasons and I'm going to steal, but it's only because I'm hungry. In the future, I'll even pay them back, right? But the theft still happens even with justifications for it, excuses for it. So if you took a world and all you did was dole out excuses and all you did was make, empathetic excuses on behalf of other people, we've done it laying down the foundation for people, even if they were a little bit good, they're like, oh, I can get away with this because Kelin's going to come along and care more about how I feel than what I did. And the bully brute Joe is going to say, those bad people that don't have principles need their ass beat on a regular basis. So if you gently parented David and I beat his ass when all his, bad psychology was starting to show itself, who do you think is less likely to raise a psychopath? You or me?
Me.
You would have the psychopath. And that's why the feminine strategy feels better, but is less effective. So you're going to be able to sleep better at night, knowing that you didn't bully and make little David feel bad. I'm going to go to bed every day thinking, I don't want to make a psycho. I am willing to beat on his ass a little bit to make sure I save him from murdering a girl one day.
Well, some real instances I've seen of a child slowly but surely going down the wrong path. And I don't even think it was the parents' intent to either gentle parent or not give consequences. But I see this time and time again in divorced couples where couple becomes divorced, they have kids together. The couple is always fighting and looking for anything they can to get the other in trouble, to include how you discipline the child. So now the parent's like, I'm under a microscope. I can't yell too loud. I can't hit. I can't take something away because then it looks like maybe I'm possibly being abusive or over the top, especially if the other parent is going to say something. I've seen where the child gets manipulated and now the child is like, you can't touch me. I'll say you were doing this. I'll say you were doing that. And now they've raised a little psychopath because their hatred for each other was stronger than how this child should be raised and molded. And what do you do there? Especially in a situation that the legal system, the courts are watching. What are you doing to this kid? What are you doing to this kid? Do you think the legal system needs to be like, both of you need to beat that kid's ass or need to be on the same page?
Have you ever stricken any of your kids? Any
spanked?
Paddlings? I never have. Yeah. And I had this conversation with my kid.
I didn't have too much, but
we were talking about families and like when he gets to be an adult, when he puts his family together, what his parenting is going to be like. I was like, I need some criticisms of how we've done so far. We made it up as we went, so there wasn't any master plan here. Yeah. And I was like, what do you think we could have done better? And he was like, you guys were pretty awesome. Like when we have our problems, we sit down and talk about it. We set some rules. We try to come through for each other and protect each other. I'm like, man, I did a pretty good job. And he was like, and another thing, you guys have never hit me. Right. Mm-hmm. And I said, well, listen, bud, I am completely willing to hit you. This was not an apathy thing on my part. You bought that by behaving the way that you did. You never brought me to the point where I felt like hitting you was the proper means of punishment. Yeah. And knowing that I have it in me and I almost want to, right? You saved yourself from that because your behavior was exceptional. And so now in his brain, it wasn't like we were gentle parenting and when we said we're never going to hit him, everything was logical. So he knew that every crime had an appropriate punishment. And there wasn't really a thing that I could even think that he could do where hitting them, right? Yeah. Was what was necessary to teach a lesson.
Yeah, we realized real quick that the spanking was not effective for them. Some kids may respond to that. My kids just happen to be like, spanking's done in 2 seconds. It doesn't hurt. And I go about my merry way. We learned that taking something they love away was more effective. So we transitioned to that. Like, you really like this tablet or you really like this toy or whatever. Guess what? You've been disrespectful today. You weren't listening. You didn't do what you were supposed to do. You did this, whatever. That's gone. Rest of the day. And then we're like, no! That, spanking sort of went by the wayside because we found something more effective. But I think you just got to find out what that is.
Yeah. And I think because parents, there's no rule book for it. We're all making it up. We're probably making mistakes every time that we try to even parent. That it worked. It was sufficient for a little while culture, sort of supported what was taboo, what shouldn't be done, what was acceptable. Used to have a generation that if your kid misbehaved in the grocery store, a perfect stranger could beat your ass because it was so it wasn't tolerated at all by anybody to even live here. But now the feminization, like you almost are afraid to do what's right because you will be, you're going to be criticized by other people. Right? Yeah. You would never beat someone else's kid, right?
No.
Right.
No.
I mean, I think that's exactly how could we have how could we have saved Celeste from this little demonic David from killing them? And if all it would cost is us, when we see somebody doing something stupid, we all agree that we're going to parent as a group, right? Yeah. And put little David in check before he has a chance to go homicidal on someone.
I have seen, I remember one time my neighbor's kids were just like, my husband and I were outside talking to her and we were just having like an evening chat outside on a walk or whatever. And her kids were being just terrors and awful and not listening. And she was like, go get in the shower, go get in the shower, go get in the shower. I don't know how many hundreds of times this was said and they don't listen and they mouth off. And I just look and I go, do you want me to step in? I will step in. Like, do you want? And I'll ask the parent, like, is it okay if I say something? I will. And sometimes they're like, go ahead, and I wouldn't hit someone else's kid, but I've been like, I'm about to snap. Do I have your permission to snap? Like, it's on. We're getting in the shower, punks. Like, I can't take it because I'm like, look what you're teaching them. Look what you're teaching them. No repercussions, no discipline, empty threats. My parents always taught us, don't ever make a threat you are not willing to back up, whatever it is.
Bluffs.
No bluffs. If it is, you better act right or we're leaving, and you're at a party and you're having a blast and there's other adults there and you don't want to leave, then don't threaten it. Because if they do it again, you're leaving. And my kids knew that right away. Do that again, and this is gone, or we are out of here, or you are done, or this will happen. And it does. Even if it bothers you, I've had times where I punished my kid and I went and cried because I felt terrible. And they were sad and their little sad face. And I didn't want to do this. And I'm just like, oh, but they got to learn. They got to learn.
I'm pretty sure a jury will sort this out easily. Yes, but I don't want to always be on the reactive side. I want to be on the preventative side. How do we save Celeste from not dying in the first place? Not just to get justice for it, to stop it from happening in the first place. I'd like to engineer that shit, and I'm telling you, the stuff I'm going to blame, nobody's going to want to hear, but it's truth.
I think it's a little bit of making sure David doesn't become a psycho and making sure Celeste sees red flags and runs the other way. I would not be surprised if Celeste herself had some family issues there, that she wasn't like, this dude bad news, I'm out.
I don't know. If you got a famous rapper that makes millions of dollars, I'm sure there's a whole flurry of young women, right, that will not be doing the whole red flags exercise. They'll be like, how do I get me some of that exercise?
Unless you were raised to be confident and see red flags.
We're talking a 90-10 split. You got 10%.
Hey, we're talking about being preventative.
I know.
That's
but how do you get at the 90% of the dingbats who are allowed to go out and make bad decisions and get themselves homicided in a trunk?
Homicided.
Julie
says,
good.
A jury of 12 women would definitely convict this guy. When you were saying feminism and all that, she says women would put him away.
Okay. Like, what does women have to do with it?
She wrote that when you were saying how the feminization of our culture ruined everything and women did whatever to society. And so that
connect the thought though. Like what would them being women have to do with anything?
They would be tough and hard on crime and not overly soft, that they would sentence him and convict him and not say, oh, but he was a victim, or, oh, but he was this.
There's some downside to that.
Downside to
it's still emotional. It's not a soft emotional, but it's still emotional. Like I would want a jury box to be completely a machine, an unbiased machine. So what's in front of you, if you have a personal connection with, that is actually what we don't want on a jury box, of someone who bring a bias to the decision making.
Wait a minute.
You want an objective person.
You just said that this guy needs to be put away. It's clear he's going to be convicted. And if the jury is all women, that conviction means nothing.
I'm saying it has nothing to do with being women. What would women have to do with any part of the
I think she felt as though you were implying if women were involved in this, it would go to hell and it wouldn't have the proper outcome.
No, I'm not saying that. A jury box is about people weighing evidence, and I think the evidence is overwhelming. The guy will be convicted, but I think whoever's on the jury will look at the evidence and say, yes, the guy should be convicted, having nothing to do with being a woman.
Hopefully. Emmanuel says, my mom destroyed my video games in front of me if I misbehaved back in the day, followed by a butt beating.
Yeah. Probably. I mean, I disagree with the method across the board. I think it's necessary sometimes, and there are some misbehaviors that's the justified response for it. But I don't think it's very many. Like I can think of maybe I got beat a lot. I was a misbehavior specialist, so I did get the wrath of the slaps and the hits and
Which, you
and
know
stuff
what's
like that.
so interesting? I can't wait to see when you're a grandparent one day. My dad spanked us for any and everything. Like, spanking was, I don't know if I'd say common, but probably common. The moment he got a grandchild, I heard, oh, they don't need spanked. They really, you don't need to spank. And I'm like, are you kidding me right now? So I wonder if it's a child versus grandchild, if something will
it'll all
change
be
there.
the same with me.
You think
It
so?
will, yeah.
You don't think you'll be like, oh, Ryan, don't.
No, it'll be the same. I will not change.
Coddle.
Julie says being feminine can't win with Joe. No, I'm a
He's a misogynist by heart.
I'm a utility guy, right?
Yeah.
So all I want to do is say, here's a hammer. Here's what it's really good at. Here's the stuff I do want to use it for. And here's the stuff I don't want to use it for. I am never softened that a hammer feels bad because it's not being used in ways that it really wants to be in. That's not how I look at it. Hammer's for a thing. Here's what it's good at. Here's what its attributes. If this thing I have a sledgehammer and a hammer, right? I want to use the hammer, right? It's going to feel bad if I choose the sledgehammer over it. So let me try fruitlessly to jam on this thing with a hammer, right? When the sledgehammer could have just done the job and been done with it. When you feminize things, you're changing it. You're like, you want to be involved in something. Okay. So you take does your husband drive when you guys travel?
Yeah.
Why is that?
I am nervous on the road and
Okay.
I just rather not.
Okay. So emotional people are more fear-based. They see into things that could possibly go wrong. They're slow decision makers. They question their own motives. They question their own actions, right? And in driving, you need to have definitive plans. You need to follow the trajectory. You need to be able to weigh out things that might happen in front of you and be reasonable. So the proper person to sit in the driver's seat is a guy. It's not saying that a girl can't do those things, but if I'm given choice of two things, one's going to be biologically better at it. A girl could practice and become a perfect driver, a race car driver or whatever, and take the biological and shift it. So they actually have an advantage when compared with another thing. But you'd have to make that argument. Who needs to sit there, and are they the best person to sit in that chair? When you're comparing two things, it's easy. When you're doing it societally, you can't do general sweeping, girls are bad at whatever. I can make logical jumps, like if you're empathetic and you get to see through the eyes of someone and you're a nurturer and protector, what roles do I want you to be in? You're going to be a nurse, right? Somebody who's got bedside manner that takes into consideration. You don't want Joe come up there, suck it up, like pull yourself up by your bootstraps. You have pain. You have never felt pain before, right? You don't want the sledgehammer there. You want the hammer. That's the proper place for the hammer. So it's not like I'm taking what feminism has become, right? And it's illogical. Now, I believe in feminism, so I don't believe that society should give preference to males when females absolutely would be the better utility there. And in our culture, we did that. So the overreaction was feminism took an angle of power consolidation was to make it so that girls should be everywhere, right? Even in the face of a guy should be doing that. I'm a bouncer at a bar. Let me put a short blonde girl as a bouncer in the bar. And everybody's going to look at that and say, not the proper tool. I know you want to do it. I know you think you could do it, but there are better specimens that are now not a bouncer outside of a bar.
I've seen a female bar bouncer before and she was jacked.
But if you take the short, blonde girl that just really wants to play that role, everybody's going to talk her out of it for obvious freaking reasons. Feminism would celebrate the improper use of a tool for the sake of it was a woman. And that's when you celebrate the controlled outcome of something rather than the merit of why it's doing it. That's where you get, most of the criticism, for me especially.
I've always found that I talk a big game for someone who's never actually been in a fight. Other than like as a kid, hitting on my brothers and vice versa or whatever. I've never truly been in a physical fight. I've never seriously punched anyone or been punched. But I will act sometimes in situations like I'm just gonna like haul ass on someone. Like if I get defensive over someone that I am like protective of and someone's messing with them, I'm like, that's it. I'm handling this situation now. I'm like the equivalent of like the Chihuahua in the dog fight.
Mm-hmm.
Would you say that's sort of like trying to sort of be in the situation of which I am ill-equipped and I'm the feminine version?
Well,
of
that's sort of a
situation-
different, that's another cultured thing where women were protected and they were revered. And we held doors open and made sure you didn't have to step in the puddle and whatever. A guy would never hit a girl, and that guy would never hit a girl. But feminism said, no, girls are the same. Why don't you start hitting girls just like you would guys? So you come up to me and start doing something that I would hit someone, and I punch you in the face. You're kind of shocked because you thought you had this insulated bubble where you're protected and you could talk shit and nobody would hit you. Kind of took advantage of that. And now all of a sudden you see these girls getting just wailed on. Come up and punch a guy in the face. He drills you and pushes you into November, right? You got to rethink the structure. Do you really want the pleasure of guys respecting you so much that they don't punch you? Does that take some liberties to jaw more than you actually should? Or do you reward I'm not going to jaw at you because I know that you could punch me, but you're not. You're holding yourself back. You're keeping yourself in check. So I'm going to behave it a little differently.
I wonder if in the moment I think I can take them. I'm going to think about that.
If we fought, who do you think would win?
You
think so?
I've never fought before. Probably.
Okay. So, how does a fight end? When do you decide the fight is over? Because that's important to ever get into
maybe
a
when
fight.
Someone's trying to walk away or.
Okay. That would be like a submission, right?
Yeah.
Somebody says uncle. That would be one way to end a fight. What's another way of a fight?
The other person's like unconscious,
knocked out or dead, one of the two. So you have the submit, right? Any others?
You get pulled apart. Someone ends it.
Intervention, where somebody comes along, a teacher in the third floor gets between you and pushes you aside, right?
Yeah. Or you come to an understanding, you shake hands, and you go about your...
of those three, right?
Yeah.
What's your go-to? What would you hope for? Would you want to knock them out so you can walk away? Would you want them to wave the white flag? Because that one is less likely to happen now more than ever. It used to be in our neighborhood. We'd have a lot of walkaways. You got me.
That's what
that
I
was a
would
good
want.
one. And you'd shake it. But that one doesn't really exist anymore.
Yeah.
And then the intervention, you're hoping that a police officer comes along or a teacher or somebody of authority and says, hold up. Now you get the opposite, where you get in a fight with one person and a whole group of people take action and start beating on you as well. So you're not fighting one person anymore. So all of the...
there's a weapon.
Or there's a weapon and then ends up in phase one, which is either you're conscious or dead, and that is a way to end a fight. So there's no real good fights to get in right now because it's not the same, where it's not two masculine individuals who thought they were stronger than one another. They competed. One makes the concession that I wasn't as strong as I thought, and they walk away, right? And that being humbled in that moment makes them train harder, get stronger, be better. So the next fight, they're not as embarrassed.
Well, and then it probably used to be where then it was done there. Whereas nowadays, then they go after so-and-so and then they go after so-and-so. Like it's probably not done once it's...
Yeah, I solved a lot of problems growing up by being underestimated and beating someone's ass. And that I was the humbler. Like you can't, this one fight I had, the dude was every bit of 6 foot tall. I mean, he was a football player. He wasn't jacked, but he was way bigger than me, like me at his chest, kind of bigger than me. And he was effing with me. And I came from a neighborhood where you take disagreements and you fight it out. And that's it. I got really good at fighting. I was scrappy, strong, fast. My punches were a little weak, but I overcame them by throwing many of them. Right.
Yeah.
And, this dude thought he was going to bully the shit out of me, and he caught some hands from me. And it was funny because like I was stronger with my right hand. So with this dude, I only threw right punches. So his face was all black and blue on this side. Like it was a moon and all this one was fine. Right. And so obviously we got intervention where a teacher came up and,
broke it
up. And after, like, I knew I won. I knew he was humbled. I knew this big dude fell victim to Joe. And, afterwards he started talking shit again. Right. And he was like, if you didn't punch me in the eye so many times, I would have totally won that fight. I was like,
that was the fight.
Hold up. If I didn't punch you in the eye so many times,
maybe if I tied my arm behind my back, you would have won that fight.
Totally. But anyway, I let it slide, and it was. But again, the psychology of fighting is different than it is now. And I don't think many people would know what the end game was. So they would just fight forever until someone was unconscious or somebody stepped in and, cops start shooting in the air like in Western movies.
Yeah.
I don't know. Fighting's definitely different.
It'd be scary nowadays.
Okay.
Danyi.
I had one child that never got whipped. I had one who got whipped daily. Both kids live under the same rules of the house. Yep. Proportional.
Yeah. Some kids
punishment.
are just, they
understand
push
that.
more.
That is their understanding of the risks of misbehaving is they get something they don't like. If it's effective, then we've been using it for millennia. So, I don't see any downside.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously if parents are using it when punishment isn't necessary, going too far, that's a problem.
Well, do you think one child that never got whipped, one who gets it daily, do you think the one child who never gets it, that was effective and they stopped? If a kid's doing it daily, does it seem very effective? Like I said, I noticed that taking something my kids love away, grounding them, whatever, was more effective. I could just spank all day. I don't know. I wonder if maybe the whipping, so to speak, is
it's again, we use like, the word proportional. So if you use that strategy, you can create a psycho. If you don't use that strategy, you can create a psycho. So it's just a balance of, like in my kid's state, if he knew that he could get his ass beat and that was enough to make him behave, I never had to beat his ass because the words did it. I didn't even have to have an example of it. He knew what I was capable of. We wrestled all the time. I could be violent when I want to be violent. I have a temper, and he's seen anger be revealed. And he's like, I don't want that. I know if I did something wrong, I get that. I don't want that. And he stayed away from it.
Yeah, that was, it's funny. We've asked our kids too, like, hey, especially I love when my kids get to see examples of other kids misbehaving. Because we had a conversation with them recently, like, why is it you guys think you turned out this way and that kid didn't? And they saw that parent didn't do anything when they started acting up. The parent allowed everything to happen. And I'm like, you might have think we were pretty strict, but you're not a little punk, and they are. And there have been times where, like, I would fly off the handle and yell. I yelled. I think one time I threw something. I would just get, like, overstimulated and enraged. But I would always go back, no matter how young they were, and I would say, that's not the right way to handle this. I would apologize. I would say, I'm human. I lost my mind there for a minute. I am sorry. That's not how things should be handled. I'm going to try better next time. And sort of let them see too. I don't know if that would be like a resolution or something, but like you said, kind of going and having a conversation with them as a human being, talk it out, rationalize something.
But having a worthwhile patriarch is important. Like, you need the personality that they mean business, and they will justly hand out punishments. They're not an erratic who's a feminine male who is indecisive and showing all those attributes. The patriarch is necessary. That's why it's included in the family unit.
Which is so funny. In my family, it's almost like a big joke that I'm like the heavy. Mom's the boss. Like, don't make dad mad. Dad is right there with me, and he's going to back me up, and I'm going to back him up, and you don't want to make him mad. But mom is the overall decision-making, decider, boss. Don't piss off mom. And I think that's because he was in the military, was gone all the time. So I had to be the dominant.
Into it. But you have that stoic figure that he has your back, and you're able to, wield yourself because you have, congruency between the two of you.
Yeah. Do you ever, did your son ever mouth off to your wife before?
No. Well, okay. Yes.
Did you like
ballistic? Ballistic. Yes.
Yeah.
Because again, biologically, people that are more agreeable if they know you're never going to do something that they're afraid of, then they're going to do it. But if I can proxy what I'm willing to wield, even if you didn't talk at me like that, I got her back. It was just as effective. Yeah,
that's probably the one or two times my husband ever exploded on them. They made a smart remark to me, and he was like, what did you just say to my wife?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
let's see, this day and age, throwing hands are rated E for everyone. Yeah, I think everybody should be, it should be mandatory to have fought by the time
Catch
you're
these
18.
hands.
Because I think younger, you figure out more like the Mike Tyson. Everybody has a big mouth until someone throws a punch.
Yeah.
Talks big, whatever that is. But you get hit a couple times in the face, and then your keyboard strokes are a little harder. My fiance would drive if she wanted, but 9 out of 10 just prefers me to drive because she feels more comfortable and safe with me behind the wheel, and because she's catching Pokemon. See, that's proper. Knowing the right tool, her depending on you, and I bet you there's some things that she does better, and you allow her to do the things that she's better at. The one that got it daily is known as the middle child, and that's the sacrifice I made in my group, and really I can't. There was never danger. There was no physical harm ever, but I liked my brothers and sisters, and they weren't as strong as me from a will standpoint. And if I took the fire, right, I drew the fire to me, right, so they wouldn't have to do it. So I was that upper middle child who basically, if anybody was going to get ratted on or mad on, bring it to me. I can handle it. So everybody else feels a little bit calmer and doesn't get, picked on so much.
You're a middle child?
Upper middle, yeah. There's 4 of us.
That explains a lot.
Really?
I don't know. I'm not the middle well, I always say I'm tied for second because I'm a twin. But technically, I was born second and I'm the only girl. But we have a middle child in the family that is every bit a middle child.
Mm-hmm.
Like, just different. Why is it you think middle kids are different?
I think the first kid, it's like a new thing, a new toy, and the first one you get is always more whatever. By the second time, you're looking through what you went wrong in the first one and then fixing it a little bit, but you're still messy and clumsy with doing it. So I think that creates sort of like psychological interference with not knowing what true north is at that point. Yeah. And so I think it jacks with kids' heads a little bit, but I think it creates enough entropy that they do big things, right? They're willing to take bigger risks and, fight more bears than the first kid who was probably more coddled, probably want them to be safe and secure. By the second one, you're still fussing with the first one and, that kind of thing.
And the third one is just,
yeah, whatever.
See you when I see ya.
Yeah.
Carter says, having employees are like kids. Some you need to pat on the back and some you need to kick their ass. Different motivation for different people.
Yeah, and that's human nature. And categorizing and knowing if there's Davids out there that needs a little ass kicking, we know it. If there's some soft people out there that need to be humbled, then you do. Like I said, but it is a responsibility of everyone to do it, not just a single parent. Like that's another thing that works against us. You took out the religious nature of families. You took out the structure of families. You feminized any remaining men that were even roughly involved. Like all of the things you've done make this incredibly worse over a period of time.
I still don't think I understand what you mean by you feminize the men. You just made it like toxic masculinity a thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So you made it super popular. Okay. So you're watching a sitcom, right?
Yeah.
The dad character is a buffoon.
Yeah.
Mocked and whatever. So if you want to take and condition a culture to either put the dad on the pedestal, know the important role they play, have people respect the dad role, you're going to have more dads that want to participate in that role and try to live up to that standard. If dad's a buffoon that everybody makes fun of, and when he tries to act anything like a dad, he's mocked, right?
Yeah.
There's less people that want to become that dad. So you've almost feminized it only through saying, all right, here's what my primitive brain does. Protect my family, fight any kind of security risks, be the provider, like all of these things that I was built for. I am the hammer. This is what I'm here for. It's like, oh, I can't do this one because of this. I'll get mocked for it on this route. So I'm just going to be female light, right? I'm not going to be a female. I'm not going to change any genders on this, but I could do anything that really has the characteristics and the definition of what men even are. And a society grants that and encourages that, you become more feminized and men just not behaving how men were designed and built.
Yeah, it's kind of like you need that happy medium. And like you said, I think when you break up the core family and you have that instability there, you don't really have like the strong stereotypical male figure and then the caring mother figure
Right.
to get both. You only have an extreme to one or the other, both
Exactly.
of which isn't going to work well.
Right. Yeah, there was a magic formula of how you raise kids. And if you had something and you could sort of like measure the results, if you do any different thing, you have to take in consideration how are you going to get those similar results by doing the different thing, or don't risk it. The family unit was safe. Okay, so if the sexual revolution where it meant that you wanted a virgin on your wedding night, and you waited to get married till you had kids, and then you created sex was about some fun, but also to create more, pupils in your household. That's a good strategy, right? You checked all the boxes of what the family unit done. We value each other, we stay together, we protect each other, we're there. Like all of that stuff makes sense. But if you're like, hey, you know what? This is all safe and all, and we have all the foundations of that. Let me break off and then risk some of that security, right? Just for the sake of doing it. And you have, old cat women, right?
Yeah.
Who are like, it's better over here, right? We're not going to have those damn kids and get those spouses and do that white picket fence, right? We can be happy over here.
What do you say then, devil's advocate? What do you say to the people that push back on that and say, sure, decades ago, we had this nuclear family, the whole kind of leave it to beaver thing where dad worked and mom stayed home and everybody stayed together and you made it work and you cared for each other. But people will say, well, just because they didn't get divorced doesn't mean it was a good situation. They stayed together, but were unhappy. They stayed together and mom just developed a raging drinking problem. They stayed together, but dad was lying on the side or staying out at the bar because he was unhappy coming home. Like all the dark secrets that are in that core family, that maybe those issues go away when you introduce the acceptance of divorce and the acceptance of maybe a second marriage or not staying in that household or whatever. Just being devil's advocate.
Well, it's an unfair, unspirited argument back, because nobody's arguing that it was perfect, right?
Yeah.
Because even, raising a family, I think I got lucky with how great my kid is. If in a hypothetical that he was a little shithead, then things would have been completely different. It would have been wrong in some ways. You can't control that. But if you look on the aggregate, right? Mm-hmm. If you give everybody a vitamin and you make the argument that not a lot of people have vitamin C, right? Now you have to compare it with not giving the vitamin C. And if it's better on the aggregate, if you do something and it gives you a net benefit, the incidents, the 10% incidents that were way off, then you're deciding, do you want the net positive on the aggregate, or when you compare it to not doing it at all? So take families that have no religion and the nuclear family, single mom, all over the place. Now, make your argument as it compares to your traditional family, not your outlier part. Is it better? And if you say it's better, then cool, do that one.
Yeah,
right?
There's always exceptions.
Right.
Yeah.
But if using the exception to take the net aggregate and say, let's blow it up because it's not perfect, that's not in the spirit of having a conversation about it. You want an outcome.
Yeah.
You want to be able to say that I don't want a family. I don't want to feel pressure to having kids. I want to have free sex and have abortions on demand. Like, I just want to find my freedom, right? And then it would be just like me saying, well, I'm going to take somebody who did all of that kind of stuff, and I'm going to find an unhappy one that had no purpose and killed themselves, right? And I'm going to say, see, there's your reason that you shouldn't do that.
Yeah.
And that's a non-spirited part of the debate.
That's what we do a lot, I think, in this country, in our political climate, in our social climate. We highlight the exceptions. And now you can't have the norm at all. You can't have the thing that the recipe, I guess, for success, the typical recipe of how to set yourself up for success, because, well, here's an example of an exception, and here's an example of an exception, and we highlight those as though those are the norms when they're not. They're the exception. Right.
If we had the ability to just measure things and present them to you. So if we say you graduate high school, I got statistics that said 90% of the people who graduate high school get to this level. If you go to college, 90% of the people get to this level, right? Just data. I don't care what you do. Here's the data in front of you. If you do this, then 90% of the time this happens. Now you know that, right? Now, if you decide like, I'm the exception, like I'm not going to do either of those things, right? Now you've taken the recipe and you went out on your own and still nobody cares. But only if you defy the logic of what makes, like, give yourself a 90% chance at success and you went off the reservation, but then you come back, you're motivated to make it some other incidental reason why you didn't make it. It wasn't that I didn't follow yours. It's because of Z, because humility would say, all right, I probably should have listened to you. It's not too late. Let me start listening to you now. You had data on your side. Just tell me what to do, right? But we can't do that. We want to be those rebellious, in spite of data, going to go off and do my own thing. And so long that you're responsible for all your actions, it doesn't affect other people. People let you do all kind of freedom everywhere.
Diane says, it was a he, and he challenged me every day, and I chose not to medicate him. Even though the schools recommended it, he turned into a great productive kid and father.
Cool.
Nice. Julie says, men will allow themselves to become passive because it's easier. Let mom handle it.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's this noticeable stereotype now where instead of the man being sort of like you said, the masculine breadwinner caretaker, he's become the passive, checked out idiot. You know, like I see it all over social media, especially around the holidays. All these posts, all these memes that came up now that was like, the magic of Christmas is thanks to you, mom. We see you moms that can now rest because of everything you did. And it was like, my husband did just as much, if not more, for Christmas than me. And it's like, oh, dad took the kid to a doctor's appointment, but doesn't know anything about the kid or can't take any school information in. He doesn't like it. It makes dad the sort of checked out individual that's just there. And I'm not saying that doesn't exist. It does. That's why there's a stereotype. But
what does checked out mean?
Checked out is, in this instance, I think they mean he goes to work, he comes home, he doesn't engage in the family life. He doesn't ask questions. He doesn't take an interest in what the kids or the wife are doing. He doesn't make it a point to know those little things.
Should he though? What if those relational and emotional connections aren't part of his? He's a hammer. He's good at this thing, and we want that thing. We want him to still go to work. We want him to do the hard lifting. We want him to take all the risks and shoulder it himself, not exposing to the pressures that he actually feels and prevent his deal's done. If a household, if you negotiate what your roles are, like, would it be better if, a woman went out and, shot the deer and dragged the food home?
Well, and I mean, I think it depends. Like you said, should he depends on the situation he's in. My husband was gone a lot and he was in the military. And so I took care of a lot of things. Now that he's retired, he has more free time and I'm the one who's gone all day. And so if he is now the one taking the kids to doctor's appointments, you need to know their birth date and you need to know their information. If he's the one picking them up from school and signing permission slips for field trips, he's the one who knows that more than me. He tells me now, oh yeah, they got a field trip coming up. Well, thanks for paying attention to that. It's, to me, it's not so much a gender role. It's who's in that position at the time and what's the information that is privy to them.
But in marriage, it is a transaction where two people agree how they're going to do things.
Yeah.
Right. And they communicate those things and they agree the stuff that needs to be done and who's going to do it. So if it's a bad household and dad comes home from work and plays video games as his outlet, you've already lost that, because if you have a full day and you haven't already decided who's going to do what and who's going to take care of what, and you allow an addiction to video games get in the middle of it, you don't know your kid's birthday, but you know when to meet your friends for your World of Warcraft session. Right? That's already toxicity. That's real toxicity.
Yeah. I remember one time years ago, I was going out with some girlfriends and my one girlfriend had to leave early. And we're like, what are you doing? No, we're going to go and we're going to go get a drink and we're going to go dance. And why are you leaving? Well, because I have to get up with the baby. And I'm like, your husband's home. He's off tomorrow. He can't get up. No, he sleeps until 11 every day and he won't do it. And I'm like, this sounds like a you problem. And I'm not saying because you can't. I'm saying, why are you allowing that? Like somebody asked me one time, how do you get your husband to bathe your kids when they were babies? I said, I don't have to get him to do it. They're his kids.
Well, those comparisons are sort of like the what was her name where she was the devil, Elizabeth Hurley, right?
Oh yeah.
I want a sensitive guy. So in one respect, you have the guy that's crying, but he's a puddle of mush, right?
Yeah.
But if you took toxic masculinity and you mock the dad role, and you have men that are participating in a marriage that are immature boys. Like that's what an immature boy would do. That's not, the role of masculinity has its own set of responsibilities. It's not just a tyrant that can go around and do everything, that everybody does everything that he wants to have happen. You have to have the disciplines and responsibilities of earning that spot and be able to take your primitive boyhood impulses, shelve them to be a man.
Yeah. To me, in my opinion, my husband was like, this is what I am in charge of. I am caring for this family. Exactly. I am working to make this work.
You guys are doing it right.
Yeah, thank you. I got very, very lucky that I found a guy that, wasn't going to be that checked out. Here's the women's roles. Here's my roles. You take care of the kid. I'm playing video games. You take care of the kid. I got work tomorrow. You take care of the kid. I'm doing this. It was like all these things. Dinner needs taken care of. Bath time needs taken care of. Work needs taken care of. Money, groceries, all these things. It wasn't you do this, I do this, unless that was agreed on because it makes sense. It's here's everything that needs handled and I better handle it. That's a man.
Yeah, you're doing it right.
Thanks.
Let's see.
Emmanuel says, I wouldn't say checked out, but maybe passive. There are certain things dad would take control of in situations and certain things that mom would do, kind of balance each other out without stepping on toes. Yeah. And I think anything that you set up as to here is how it's going to work for us. And then you make that work.
Right.
It can't just be two people saying, well, I want to do this and I want to do this. And now you're at odds all the time. I always tell people, any young couple I see getting married, I tell them, discuss everything.
Yep. Set rules and logic for
everything. How do you want to have kids? How do you want to discipline the kids? What religion are you going to raise the kids?
Right.
How do you want to spend money? Are you a saver? Are you a spender? Do you want to work outside the home? Do you want to stay home? Should we both do that? Like everything, discuss everything.
Yeah. Brian says, Joe, is that toxicity like having two monitors set up at your home office, one with your job and one with World of Warcraft on the other? And those are those impulses. Like a lot of people can, entertain some of those impulses and still do it constructively. We all do. But it's why do you go to church every Sunday? It's to remind yourself and try to become better than you were the day before, right? Mm-hmm. And in a family unit, neither are perfect. Husband, wife, not perfect. Each of them are trying to earn and achieve their responsibility, their duties in that family. And if I see you doing something like you're eating cupcakes every day, you're going to get fat and unhealthy, right? And it's my duty to help you to, instead of adding it as an asset, a big asset, right? And creating a liability within our family, it's my responsibility to put you in check. And you're going to do it. It's my job to help you. Yeah. And if I go down in the basement and I play 6 hours of World of Warcraft, you're going to come to me and say, bad addiction, let's shore this thing up. And you're going to help me become better by only, eating desserts a minimum amount of time. And that's a metaphorical dessert. So World of Warcraft would be dessert. So if you can eat dessert with your meal, cool. You can pull it off, still get the good stuff. And the dessert doesn't hurt you. That's great. If you can't, if you're like, oh, the dessert's tasty and the chicken's not so great, and you eat all your dessert and none of your chicken, you can't handle the temptation. And dessert comes after you have the meal. You have to treat yourself and in the proper strata that you're in.
He says, just ask Luke and Isaac, LOL.
I didn't say anything the whole time that they were promoting bad behaviors. It's what fun.
What were they promoting? I only catch
slacking off, not working, like everything that they were talking about as, are achievements and they should be celebrated. If you do a
Work-life balance. Did they say work-life balance?
That's what they alluded to. They're just it's slacking mentality.
No, I am I would say I buy into the concept of work hard, play hard. There are going to be times that I am like, I'm taking off. I'm out. And I've noticed that's rare. I'm also, unfortunately, of the mindset that if I'm not busy and active and handling something, I feel like that's wrong. Like I have a hard time just shutting off and relaxing. But I mean, I don't know. I think I'm maybe in the middle of like you and Luke and Isaac. I think work hard, do what is productive, intervene when necessary. Don't let things go by the wayside. Don't screw over other people that can't get what they need because you decided to check out. But when it's time to check out, have fun. And make sure you make time to check out. How do you feel about burnout?
I've never experienced it. I don't know what it is. And I've heard like in the tech industry, one dude who was really skilled, working 12-hour days. He had a company that was in high demand and there weren't too many of them. And the dude worked all the time. Right.
Yeah.
But when in business, if you can't stave off the temptation to take on more than you want, and if you say yes to everything, then it is a self-inflicted burnout. So like if I had 10 things I had to do and I'm like, that's way too many in one day. So I'm going to raise my prices and make it into 8, raise my prices and make it into 4, raise my prices again and make it into 2. Now I've done a harder thing, which is tell somebody that I don't want them as a customer anymore. If you're bashful and unmanly and unstructured and undisciplined, you'll find yourself getting burned out because you didn't have the testicular fortitude, right, to do the math to make it so that it's all manageable.
Yeah, that's probably something that could be a goal for me in 2026. I feel like I'll get in little phases of life that I maybe feel like overly motivated and I take on a lot and then I went, oh God, this sucks.
Yeah,
like now I'm burned out.
That's just lack of discipline. You're using impulses to make decisions rather than logic making your decisions.
Yeah. Like, people say, oh, well, you should help us with this. Can you help? I don't know when, but okay.
I won't be critical of what you're doing because a lot of the way to audit it and to know like the work home balance is if you are spending and investing your time into making things healthier, then you're doing a good job. So you basically audit yourself and say, okay, when I have me time or downtime, am I making myself physically healthier, financially healthier, relationally healthier, professionally healthier? Where do you invest in your time? Now, if you're saying I need some me time and all you do is you make yourself unhealthy, right? You're doing the opposite of investing that. You're sacrificing yourself for me time. And it's just an impulsive addiction rather than something that you're, in my me time, I'm going to go to the gym. I'm going to walk outside. I'm going to talk to someone I haven't talked to in a while. All those things are going to feed you in a positive direction. But I think most people, when they go into me time, they get themselves burnt to a certain level because of bad decisions and decision making and time management and finance management and all the other undisciplines, if you can call it that.
Yeah.
And then they get to a point where then they break and then they do all kinds of unhealthy things. So I would not want anybody captured in that loop.
I used to feel guilty if I was getting a workout in. I'd be like, oh my God, should I be doing something else with this time? Should I be playing a game with my kids or talking to my kids, or am I putting my needs above my kids? And then I realized that my kids were watching me and they watched me stick to something that was a healthy thing.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh,
model.
that right
Absolutely
there.
Model. Yeah,
that right there.
You're doing a good job. Metaphorical high five. I don't want any of my germs to go your direction, but you're doing a good job. The 2 monitors setup was from their mouths. I don't doubt it. Like,
meaning they play video games while they're working?
Yes. Yes.
Have you ever been in a job that the work is spread out throughout the day and it's not go, 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 go? Like, do you think they're working, they're in the middle of a work day, but they're not actively on a call, they're not talking with someone, maybe they're waiting on, I don't know, an email to come in or something to download. I don't know what they do. But they're like, I've got a few minutes. I'm going to hop on them and play this game. And there's what I needed. Okay. And then they kind of get back to something work related.
Well, and that's an opportunity cost. So let's just say you're at a restaurant, right? And the hostess is standing there. And when you come in, they seat you. What happens when there's nobody coming in? There's there's time distance between when you have to do something, which you need to be there for it. So when there's somebody in here, I'm seating you. When somebody's not there, I'm wrapping napkins and I'm doing the schedule and I'm cleaning up and whatever. You have all these elective things where you know there's going to be gaps in when you have to do something and you stick something in. So if Isaac wanted, what? You're 12 years old.
I'm very 12 years old.
So
that's what she said.
If Isaac had a time budget and he was like, I have 17 minutes allocated for World of Warcraft. I have 20 minutes for returning emails and phone calls. I have 2 hours to go do a showing. I have 2 hours to go with my family. Right. And if he had to get through all of his time budget, it was all, sort of like beforehand prepared out. And then he was working. He was like, hey, I can multitask. And while I'm doing this one thing here, I can get my allocation of World of Warcraft out of the way and do my 17 minutes so I can check that off the list. That would be a healthy version of that.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying is like something is sort of temporarily on hold or actively going. I can turn attention to this for a few minutes. Okay, now we're back to this.
But I'm saying, what didn't get done while World of Warcraft? Are you 100% caught up and there's nothing that you could have actually done? If that's the case, then you went into relax mode because the list is done. If you still have a list in front of you, it's not time to go into relax mode before relax mode unless you've prepared it that now you won't play World of Warcraft later because you got that out of the way here. And now you slid that time down the road. Maybe you hang out with your kids or you do something else off of your list. That's the difference. A lot of these things that are open-ended, like playing video games, they consume and they take the place of your responsibilities. And that's when you start getting conflict.
Kind of like, this might be a real world example. I was saying how this year I've done the read a Bible in a year thing. And typically I read it at night before bed. But there were a couple instances where whatever happened, I don't know, maybe a kid had a school concert or something was going on or my workout got pushed or I didn't read it before bed. So I was like, well, I'll take the book to work tomorrow and I read it during lunch. And it's still something not work related I'm doing. Got it done, made room for other responsibilities throughout the day. Everything gets done. Here's my window of time and just make sure everything gets done.
Yeah. And so if you don't want to succumb to your temptations, you put all the stuff that you'd rather not do at the end of the day and the stuff you really want to do at the beginning of the day. So if you go through and do all your responsibilities, and let's say World of Warcraft, it's not good for you, but it's a guilty pleasure. So you tag it at the end of the day. So if you get through your whole list and you get to the time and like, I ran out of time. Oh, darn, I can't play World of Warcraft anymore. The problem is when I said that, do what you want to do, right?
Yeah.
If all the things you want to do are in the column of bad for you, you're going to very likely put them at the head of the schedule listening to me and do all the detrimental things in the beginning. And then you don't have time to do your real responsibilities. That's what little boys do, not men. Men say, what's the hardest thing I have to do? And I want to get it out of the way early and keep working down the list so I could have a productive day. And if I get to the end of the day and I can only read one page of the newspaper, fine. I ran out of a good time.
So when Isaac says why I get up early, I get up at 6, but then I play my video game before I start work, would you say get up early, start work, and then play video games?
Get everything you intend to do out of the way first. And if there's a ton of time left at the end, you're not sacrificing. You're not taking the opportunity cost for the things that didn't matter or made things worse. And that's what you want to play those numbers against you. So the things you don't really or shouldn't be doing are the least amount of time invested per day.
Yeah. Emmanuel says the luxury of at-home jobs, you have some time to do whatever you want. In the workforce, you get the saying, if you got time to lean, you got time to clean.
That's exactly right. Yeah. But I think AI fixes this problem. Remote work, when nobody was looking over your shoulder, when you're outside of the office, how productive can you be? And I think on the aggregate, we were terrible. There was so much loss of productivity. You have some people who, like you probably would have done all right at it because you have those disciplines, but you would have to prove you have those disciplines before you do the remote work. I don't expect you to learn disciplines when you have a billion distractions around you and you still have to mail in the bare minimum so you don't get caught for jerking off, literally and metaphorically.
Yeah. Brian says the podcasts are background noise as I am working for myself, but also allows me to listen and participate as I see fit.
There you go.
Working and doing non-work related things at the same time, you would say fine as long as everything is still being done.
So, right. So, and I said AI fixes this is because people are going to be measured in their productivity. And if they don't work, and nobody cares. You want to take off Christmas. If I don't have to pay you for it, I don't give two shits about it. But if you want the benefit of having the 8 hours that you're being paid for, and you only gave me 6, right?
Mm-hmm.
AI is going to say, I pay you 6. And then you have to figure out how to make AI know that you did 8 hours worth of work. And then everybody's happy. Then people aren't paying for things that they aren't getting a product for, because nobody would do that on the consumer end. So nobody should do that in the work realm. But right now, we almost build in the inefficiencies. So if I want to pay you $30 and you're only going to really do 4 hours of work for me, I'm going to pay you $15, and we're going to let the 4 hours that you waste every day, right, just be a part of the margins.
Yeah, kind of like if AI were saying, oh, you took Christmas off. That's 6 hours. Why should I pay you? Well, these 2 days I worked 10 hours instead of 6. Or I did whatever, then it's like, okay, evens out.
It will be able to give fair value for everything. I don't like stealing, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so giving fair value for every transaction is the goal. And everybody should be fighting for more just fair. Because everybody could make more money and they can work less hours. So if we're like, if I go and I have 4 hours worth of work because it's on my paper of 4 hours worth of work and I want to get paid for that 4 hours, I'm not going to come there, waste 8 hours of my time, right? Only really get paid for 4 hours because I could double what I pay you if you can give me 4 real hours in a day. But as long as you're chirping and drinking coffee and taking 3 shit breaks and really blowing things off, right? Then I'm not paying you for that. Here's what your job is. Here's where you're productive. And here's what I'm willing to pay. I'm going to pay double what the rest of the marketplace is, but I'm not going to pay you anything if I don't get anything.
Have you ever worked a job where you've got so many tasks, you've got so much time worth of work, and you're like, not a problem, I'll make this work, let's go. But it's predicated on someone else doing something. Like you're like, all right, I got to get this done. I need your info. Can you give me your info so I could, kind of like working in a factory where somebody does this and then they give it to you and you do this. But you're waiting on that thing and you can't do this until you get it. Have you ever been in that situation? And what do you do then?
I usually don't let myself into those situations.
Kind of like if you were going to a doctor's office and you're doing IT. And like you said, I'm going to sit in this waiting room, but you're going to pay me to do it because
that is my way of dealing with it. What I've already decided is going to happen. Like I know that if there's a 5% chance that they set me in the waiting room and I burn 45 minutes, I say that thing, right? And I save myself from being in a position where I'm dependent on them to do something in order for me to do my thing.
But even if they pay you for it, are you still irked? No. Do you feel like you wasted your time?
No,
you know what I could have been doing in this time?
But I bring a backpack with a bunch of other stuff so that if I'm in a position, I can be working on the other stuff. I always have that with me. So no matter where I'm at, I can get stuff done. That's a preparation thing.
I was going to say, so preparing.
Preparing, ahead. Wanting to get it done and knowing you're going to be in a lot of different places. And if you're in a situation, you get stopped in traffic, there's some things you can get done while you're in traffic. If you get stuck in a waiting room where you're being paid, you can get, multiple billings by working on something else while you're sitting there doing nothing. I am not an idle person. I hate it. And again, like I said, AI, I think, is going to make me feel good because of all of the inefficiencies when it comes to human beings.
But when you get a moment to check out and rest, do you? Or does it make you uncomfortable?
I can't do nothing. I have to be working on something. And so I just go into a mode that's a lighter capacity. Like when I'm in my morning routine is my favorite routine because I don't have to pay attention to outside things. And whether it's, praying or meditating or exercising, nobody's bothering you. I could do whatever I want. I could do it in short stints, long stints, whatever I'm up for. And I like that because there's the most freedom between 4:30 in the morning and 6:30 in the morning. That's my time.
My husband and I, this was maybe a couple Saturdays ago. I record for another job I have, and I love to work ahead. Like I'll do tomorrow and then a little of the next day. That way, when I'm working tomorrow, I'm already into the next day and I do a little of the next day. And I love setting myself up so I never feel rushed. I'm always ahead. I'm never behind. And so there was a weekend one time where I had already worked ahead. I got my workout done. Got some cleaning done. We didn't have to go grocery shopping. It's a week. Like there was literally no kids have any activities. And my husband's like, let's just sit here and watch TV. And we both were like, maybe I should go record some more. He's like, you've already done like 2 days into the future. You do not have to record anymore. Sit down and do nothing. And we're both like, okay.
Yeah.
Because it was like this looming, what am I missing? How should I set myself up for the future? What should I keep working on? And I don't know if that's healthy. It's healthy sometimes. It's beneficial. You don't get behind very much. But I don't know if it's healthy to always have that. I feel like I've got to be on. And if I let myself rest, it's uneasy. Like I've earned this rest and I still can't shake this feeling of I should be taking this time to be more productive.
See, I would analyze it and I would say, what about the do nothing thing are you getting? And can you get it in a way that is more productive? So if it's like mental stimulation, right?
Yeah.
If you're like, hey, I got so many things happening around, bright lights and whatever. But then you go watch a movie with explosions and the threat of a killer and whatever. I'm like, okay, I'm questioning whether or not it was the stimulation and whether or not the substitution of different kinds of stimulation. Do you need some help in the imaginative part? Like if you brought to life your imagination to put yourself in situations that were perilous, and the reason you stopped working is because you put yourself in situations that were perilous, it's a 1-for-1. And it's just a different, you just substituted. You didn't improve anything.
I think it comes with guilt. We feel guilty when we're not working or being busy.
Yeah, that
is
what
should
human
stay
beings
working
have
and busy.
80 years on this earth. If you add up all of the hours that you have and you sacrifice 2 of those hours and you're on your deathbed, you got 2 hours to live. And I'm like, do you want to go back in time and take advantage of any of those 2-hour segments? Do you think the rest was more important, or would you rather have them back and do something with it? If you sit in bed and say, yeah, give me those 2 hours and I'm going to sit here and watch TV, then it's a good decision. The only thing is we can't look ahead and think that we're squandering that time. We think we have an infinite amount. And I could say, hey, you're going to die one day, right? Go visit yourself on your deathbed and have a conversation about how much you'd like that 2 hours back and how you should be allocating it, right? You put the pressure of having something taken away and you figure out real quick that you're doing a really bad job of stewarding that time. And you got to be honest with yourself about it.
Yeah. I mean, like you say, you hate when people take days around holidays and stuff off. Is someone going to be on their deathbed and say, I'm so glad I took that day off. I'm so glad
it's not even going to be memorable.
I was with my family that day.
You made somebody else's sacrifice, right? Somebody else paid the
I think it will be memorable for some people if you use it right. Obviously, if it's like it was a day off, I sat home and ate Cheetos. But if it was like, I'm so glad I didn't, like I've missed work to go to my kid's concert, or I've missed work to go watch my child do something, or to go to a family event, to see someone get married, to go to whatever, 100% worth it. Like, so glad I made that decision.
Okay.
If you don't squander it, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah. But again, you have to visit yourself on that deathbed. How do you feel about sitting through, giving your statistics? You went to 80, wedding receptions and you spent 4 hours, 80 times 4. Would you spend those 320 hours doing wedding receptions, or maybe you'd show up for 10 minutes to do the bare minimum and then actually put that time into something that mattered, that would be memorable? On that deathbed, you would say, I'm so glad I did it. And it's on you. You are the arbiter. You're the auditor of all of this.
I remember my husband, when he was in the Army, he was in a course for something. I don't even remember what it was. And it was local. He was home. He just had to be on base every day. And I was due with our first child, and the day was coming up, and he went to the head of this course and he's like, hey, I'm going to probably need to miss on Friday. I'm having a baby. And this person looked at my husband and said, so people miss the birth of their kids all the time. You can be here. And I was like, miss the birth of your first child and see if we're still here. Like this is and he missed class and he made the birth of his child. And on his deathbed, which do you think will matter?
Yeah, he's going to say that was a worthy sacrifice.
Yeah.
As long as he's willing to pay if risking your job and not having it anymore is worth that moment to make that decision.
He
every
was
time.
Lucky. The higher up over that guy said, you're full of shit. He's going to the birth of his child.
Right, but if it was something where
if it could have been detrimental.
Whatever, and he was like, no, I would totally lose my job today to go see the birth of my child. Then he had the convictions of what was really important. And on the deathbed, he would choose birth of the child over anything.
Yeah.
There you go.
Would you miss work for the birth of your child?
Oh, absolutely. It was important to me.
I was really unsure how you would answer that.
Really?
Little bit. No,
I know my role. I have responsibilities there. And, if you have responsibilities that are warring, you have to figure out what you're willing and not willing to do. I just disagree with the lazy justifications for a temptation into some kind of impulse than I do a conviction where you're willing to fight. Like I'm doing Christmas Eve service, and you only do a Christmas Eve service if it means you get to miss work. If you didn't work on that day, like it was on a weekend, you didn't go to Christmas Eve service, and you used Christmas Eve service as a leverage to do something you wanted to do, not the other way around. I have lots of appreciation for people who have convictions. That
I actually missed a little bit of work for a Christmas Eve service that I didn't want to go to. Like I would rather sit here at work and not go do something terrifying, but I felt as though I should.
I just question the motive of people because I think people are bad generally, and it takes big forces to keep people from giving into those impulses of becoming terrible and hurting other people and destroying themselves. And so I want people to get super curious. You might think I'm robotic and I have all these logical steps. All of them insulate for absolute health in all departments. So other people, instead of them convincing me that I should live a little bit more, right?
Yeah.
I should be teaching them how to not die so damn fast.
Everybody needs a good happy medium. How did your solo go, Kelin? It was pretty good. It wasn't a full solo. I just had to lead it and then other people joined in, but it didn't suck. And I'll take that.
No TikTok videos about it saying, where did they get this person?
Oh, good.
Did she hear tones?
No video proof. My family's like, oh, video it. No, I will not. Nope.
All right. Well, we're out of here for today. Tomorrow's the new year, but it's pretty likely that across history that we got calendars wrong. So this might be like the 45th day of December. So it's very arbitrary, but celebrate it anyway. Maybe get a gym membership and squander money for the rest of the year on something you're probably not going to do anyway. But at the end of the day, just be happy for, family and stuff like that. Have fun. Don't kill yourself. Don't drive drunk, all that kind of stuff.
Have a safe and happy new year.
See, you said it way better. I'm sure that
we'll see you in 2026.
Thank you for listening to this show on Youngstown Studio. This is original Youngstown content. Feel free to share our videos and tell your friends about us. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel and follow us on Facebook.